I'd like to introduce Marisa Harba. She is an award-winning actor, director, and also a leading acting coach, author, and thought leader in Los Angeles. She created the chakra approach, which involves tapping into the body's natural energy centers as a way to build compelling performances. And she founded About the Work Actors Studio in 2013 on the principle of challenging actors to elevate their truth. Hi, Marisa. It's so nice to have you here. I
Yes,
know we
thank you for
chatted on
having
the
me.
phone stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, your sound's good. I hear you.
Great, great.
Everybody hears
Yeah, you
what.
guys, I'm tuning in from Hawaii, actually. My family is sleeping in the room, and I meant to be on the balcony, but it's in full sun, so I'm out in the hallway area.
Yeah. Are you at the Monolani?
At the Hilton.
Oh, you're at the Hilton. Yeah, I love the Hilton. I don't know if people know this, but I was on that island for 21 years. So it was a wonderful experience. And I would take my kids there for like Disneyland on the island. So it's gorgeous. So, Marissa, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am originally from New Jersey. I'm based in LA now for about 12 years. I'm an actress and a director myself, and I've also founded About the Work Actors Studio. We're based in Hollywood, but actually this past year now we're a global studio, and so much of what we do is really getting to the core of an artist, the truth of us as human beings, so that we can bring that truth to our storytelling. And our mission is literally elevating actors, empowering actors to elevate their truth so they can change the world through story. Our program is literally 7 steps to elevated truth. So much of what we do is really understanding energy, understanding how we connect to other human beings, understanding how an audience can be moved, not only emotionally but chemically, hormonally. How we can, as storytellers, we have the power to actually change the chemical makeup within our audiences, which is so incredible and so powerful. And I know that so many of us in this group, probably all of us who are here on this call right now, are so passionate about telling stories that are.
Wind, can you put your hand over your mic?
Is that a little better?
Yeah.
Okay. So much of what we're passionate about, this whole everybody on this call right now, is making real change in the world. And something for me specifically that I'm really passionate about isn't about forcing it. I don't think that that's the answer. I think it's about inviting it. It's about the conversation. It's about holding space for people, because you can't force somebody to change their mind. You have to inspire them. So that to me has always been the way, as an artist, as an actor, as a director, as a studio owner, is you can't force people to do something they don't want to do, but you can inspire them to think differently. And that is the art. That is the artistry.
Yes, it is. And if you try to force somebody, they'll put their walls up. Oh, my throat. They'll put their walls up, and they'll just put more walls up. You can't get through that. It's so. The thing is with acting too is the good actors are deep. They're like,
Yes.
they get to the emotional core and they actually emote the energy. They emote the energy to the audience. So it's not only just a physical thing, it's actually a spiritual thing. They actually feel it on a deep level.
Yeah,
or
it's
real.
a visceral experience.
Yeah.
This is you hit it right on the head, Lisa. This is exactly what I'm after all the time, is that visceral experience that an audience, literally you can change the way that they move their own bodies. Because I mean, we literally talk about audiences, they were at the edge of their seat, right? Well, what does that actually mean? It means that their spine is leaning in, right? They're so engaged in what you are sharing, telling, communicating as an artist, that they literally want to drink in more. They want to move their bodies closer to whatever's happening because they want to drink it in so badly. So
And we
that's
need that.
always the goal.
Yeah, even when I was a little kid, like, what's the name of that guy that was? They have a movie about him. He was, and they had the little. Oh, what's the name of him? He's a. God, I forgot. But he's like so positive. My background was pretty negative, and so I, as little kids, we'd all go to the TV and watch this positive stuff, just to be around positive people. So even if you're even if you're lost because your dimension's lower, then when you find somebody that is radiating light, you're attracted to them. And in order for a star to be a star, I don't know if people know this, but when they call people brilliant, and I'm a professional psychic, so I see energies and talk to people and stuff like that. Nobody's dead, but but anyway, the more light you hold in your body, the more brilliant you are. You're smarter. You're literally hooked up to source. So you have a lot more information and intelligence, and you understand things at a higher level. And that's why they call them a star, because they're shining their star to the world. And so if you're scared and you don't want to be seen, or you're insecure in who you are as an actor or a writer or anything, you're not shining that star to the world. And so you're not going to attract back the attention you want. And I think people who teach acting, everybody could take those courses, because it helps you become more of who you are, because you get more real. You get to the depth of your soul, and and you have to put it in front of people. It's like speaking. It's like being a speaker. You have to go through stuff to be a speaker.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And even just as you were explaining that, Lisa, you know, what you did with, did you see what she did with her body, you guys? She said, you know, she kind of like collapsed here to sort of showcase how, you know, when your light isn't shining bright, what happens physically is that your body closes off, right? So when you learn how to sort of open up, right? Be vulnerable, but vulnerable, you know, sometimes that has a negative connotation to it. And there is so much strength in vulnerability, because the person who goes first is the bravest, right? Because everybody wants to be first to be second. Nobody wants to be first because it's scary. It's so scary. But everybody wants to be second, because the first person went, they paved the way, and now the second person is like, okay, I can do this, whatever it is. Literally, I could be talking about anything. Um,
Yeah, I was one of the
that
first
bravery.
psychics on the internet in 1995, and right when the internet started. And yeah, it was. I got a lot of emails,
Yeah.
letters, and stuff. It's like,
Yeah, but even just talking about, you know, what your body was doing as you were explaining
yeah,
that.
because it's like the Superman pose, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
when you're feeling insecure, just do the Superman pose.
absolutely. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Tony
and
Robbins teaches this. I mean, this is stuff that really changes your energy. and
yeah.
and like actors, they're like, it's amazing how wonderful some of the actors can, they can play somebody who's insecure and not feeling good and like their heads down and they're walking around, and then they'll play another part and they're like they're a banker and they're wealthy and they just walk around with power and wealth, and it's not just the clothes, although the clothes matter, because I've noticed when you get in, I was in Waterworld and Baywatch and a few other shows, and I've noticed when you put the costume on, you, your energy shifts. It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're putting on a new skin essentially. The
You take,
physical really does matter. In fact, the way that we as humans, and this has been proven, the way that we as humans communicate, over over half of how we communicate is through the physical. Actually, it's been proven 55% of how human beings connect and communicate to one another is literally through the physical. 36% is then your tone of voice, and then 9% are the actual words spoken. So this is quite fascinating because this is how we can, communicate with people of different languages, because they understand your tone of voice. Even our fur babies understand our dogs, cats. They understand the tone of our voice. They may not understand the words, maybe they do, but they're responding to energy too.
yeah,
We
they're
all are.
totally psychic. Animals are.
Yeah.
That's why once you get your energy aligned, you can go outside and the birds and the animals will come closer to you, and they're not afraid of you. I mean, they'll still be cautious because you're a human, but
Yeah.
they feel comfortable around you because they're all reading. We're all reading all the time. We're it's just like if somebody's looking at you all at once, you'll know and you'll turn around, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we've all
You
got
you
these
sense
abilities.
that.
Yeah.
When I practice Tai Chi as one of my morning meditations, and I do it in my backyard, and all the animals come forth.
Oh, that's nice.
Everybody comes in. The butterflies, the birds, the squirrels. Everybody comes out to play.
Oh, that's
'Cause
wonderful.
it feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's interesting because as you wake up, you go through these different levels of awareness,
Yeah.
right? And so the depth, how do you get them to open their hearts and be real in this
Yeah.
in front of, because are you teaching on Zoom or in person?
We've been on Zoom since the pandemic began, and actually, it's been quite incredible. The amount of growth that's happened in this past year has been more than I could have ever imagined. Because we have this little square, not square, but rectangle box, which is essentially our frame. So whether it's your webcam or, a red cam, it doesn't even matter because you're still connecting to an audience on the other side of that lens. And the way that we dig into this, our energy, right? Because that terminology, oh, your energy, so many people don't even like, we get it when you walk into a room and the energy's weird, you feel it, right? Or if you walk somewhere and the energy's really positive and you feel it. But what if we dig deeper than that? How do we actually understand what's happening in the body? So what we do in the program is really digging into the energy centers in the body. So we treat the body as an instrument, right? So, musicians, I used to play the cello for instance for 6 years as a kid growing up, and you have to learn all the notes first, and then you play your scales and you're practicing, then you start playing songs and chords and all of these things, and then you become a master, right? I never got to that level with the cello, unfortunately, but I'm using this as an analogy for actors, right? So we have 7 energy centers in our body that have very different qualities of energy. That when you understand the quality of energy that comes from each of these places in the body, you can see how it infiltrates every single thing that we do as human beings. I'm not even talking about just actors. I'm saying I could look over there and watch somebody walking and be like, wow, they're in heart chakra right now. Or I could see those two arguing and see that they're both in power chakra right now. Because you know, Lisa, you talk about seeing energy. You can see it through. There's different ways to see energy, of course, auras or chakras. You know,
Well,
however,
there's different dimensions and layers.
different dimensions, exactly. Um, but a practical application kind of a way for an actor to be able to do this repeatably. I think I just made up that word. Uh, uh, to repeat this on set, to be able to do it 42 times, you know, in front of a camera from different angles, and everybody's watching you, and you have to cry on cue or whatever it is. You have to go to the deepest, darkest places of your soul. And if you're using your own life, first of all, you won't be able to serve over half the characters that you tackle, because if you've never had cancer and you're playing a cancer patient, how's that going to work, right? We can't always draw on our own experiences. We have to use imagination, and to be able to do that, you have to understand now, knowing what I said before, right? The 55% is how we communicate from human to human, right? So if we know that, we know that the physical is literally the most important thing to focus on as an artist.
Well, especially on camera, because it's
Yeah,
seen. It's what people.
well, exactly.
And even if they're on so people on a higher dimension will feel it more, but most of humanity is not there yet. They'll
Yeah,
still feel it, but it'll be unconscious to them.
they won't know they don't know why or how they're feeling it, but they'll feel it.
But they'll see it. So the
Yes.
more you can put it on the stage, then
Yes, on the physical. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly right. So we break down the body into these 7 musical notes, essentially, that are energetically very different qualities of energy. And once you understand how these qualities of energy break, and you know, to sort of loop you guys into a little bit more specific of what I'm talking about. Um, when somebody's giving a speech and they're nervous about it, right? And then their friend will be like, just speak from the heart, just speak from the heart, you'll be fine, right? Well, that's a chakra. That's the heart chakra, right? So heart chakra is all about giving and receiving. So all that friend told the guy giving the speech is give, just give. Don't worry about all the other stuff, just give and receive from whatever situation that you're in. If you're giving, you know, a toast at a wedding or whatever, just give. That's really what we're saying, right?
Well, let's be real, because a lot of people have masks up,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like they have this plastic mask up of who they are projecting to the world.
Yes.
And as a psychic, I look right behind that mask and talk to them directly. And if
Yes.
they're not ready for it, they'll start crying
Yeah.
because nobody's really seen the real them, and they think they have to do this.
And for some, it's absolutely terrifying. Absolutely
Yeah,
terrifying.
but usually I'm gentle enough that it'll, because when you're crying, it's releasing all the
Yes.
stuff that's not you,
Yes. Yeah.
all the unreal stuff. Like
Yeah. Tension.
Seen here.
Tension is who we think we are, but relaxation is who we actually are. Tension is who we think we are, but relaxation is who we actually are. So we don't have that, because tension, I see tension as armor. Now, sometimes a character needs tension because they have armor, and that's purposeful armor.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between the artist, the actor having armor, and the character having armor. And being able to discern the difference between those two things is really important.
Tricky.
It's tricky.
That's tricky.
Yeah. It is tricky.
You've got to be very aware and
very aware. And this work it's rather deep, and it really kind of shows you a lot of stuff that, you know, some people aren't ready for, and that's okay. You know, everybody has their own time when they're ready, but working with energy, like you said, Lisa, you can see right through it because energy doesn't lie.
Well, and the director and the producer and high level people like that who are used to do doing this, they can see right through it too. So if somebody's being fake, they're going to
Yeah.
go, no, you got to redo that, and
Yeah.
they won't hire you because they want somebody who's going to bring out the best in whatever part they're playing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, just to sort of give you a little bit more of what types of energy centers we all possess. So third eye, it's our intuition, right? It's when we know something, we don't know how we know it, we just know it somehow. We've just figured it out, and there's almost no explanation for it sometimes. It's just that, aha, I know it. I know that. I know they're dating and secretly dating. I get a vibe. I got a feeling, right? Or when you're thinking about somebody from your past and then you run into them. Oh my God. Oh my God. How did that, right? It's intuitively we possess this. It's literally the sixth sense, right?
yeah, but
Um,
there's a lot more than just that. So, but for me, that so that a lot of people who don't know it, the pineal gland is behind the third eye, and if you look at the Vatican, this is part of their secret hidden knowledge.
yeah.
Right in front of the Vatican is a huge uh, cement or carved statue of a pine cone, and that symbolizes the pineal gland because they know that it was the connection from
Yeah.
higher source energy.
Yeah.
So that's the visual for it. So the more you get that awake and keep your body clean, then your abilities open up, and like you were talking about the chakras, it's I had to do a lot of clearing on my throat chakra to do
Oh,
stuff like
absolutely.
this because our parents shut up. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so every place is like, okay, clear that. Yeah, it really helps. And then your intuition through your heart is like more clairaudience, or no, clairaudience is ear, and then sentience,
Yeah.
clear sensing. Clair means clear,
Yeah. Yeah.
so you start sensing things, so you're literally teaching people awakening
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
your actor studio.
Absolutely. And we have to start with the self first. That's why it's 7 steps to elevated truth. Your truth as an artist, as a human being first. Then you can take on the characters because we talked about this a little earlier. They're different. We can't just take our own issues and put them into the character because maybe that's not what serves the story,
Yeah.
right? And there's some bigger, you know, uh, theme that needs to come through. But if your own stuff is clouding that, then it's not clear, as you said.
Well, and you get triggered,
Exactly. And
and
I've seen that happen.
be in your issue, and you can't do the work. You can't do the part. You can't.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that happen where, people are literally, they're triggered and then the tears come and they can't stop because a valve has been opened. The vessel has been opened up in a way that it has never been opened up. And the body is cleansing. It's
Yeah.
cleansing and it all comes out and it can't stop. But think about it. If you're on a set and you need, we're 3 takes in on a 12-hour day, we got to find a way to channel that or have dealt with that prior to coming to set because a lot of people are working together, to make something. And as we all know, it's expensive.
Yeah. It's like a
That's
press
very
run.
expensive. Yeah.
I used to have a publishing firm, and we'd have press runs. And that was 25 years ago. It was like 600 an hour to stop
Yeah.
the press. Oh, I gotta fix that. So you don't want to be stopping filming. I could be 600,000 an hour. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of money. Got a
So
big
what we
crew.
so what we do is we understand ourselves first, and then we start to understand others. And I'm saying just humans. I'm not even saying acting class. Like that aside, understanding how humans communicate to each other. And, maybe I open my heart to you, because with heart chakra, that's all about relationships. So in relationships, it's giving and receiving, as I mentioned earlier, right? But it's really a 4-lane highway, because I have to give and you have to receive. And then you have to give and I need to receive. If any one of those 4 roads are blocked, then the relationship has problems, right? So you can literally probably go back in your memory, and maybe you've lost touch with a friend, or maybe you're no longer friends with somebody from your past. And you could probably go back and pinpoint the moment that somebody stopped giving or somebody stopped receiving. And being able to understand how this happens in real life, using that to then see how a character experiences that. So if a character is, having some conflict with their scene partner, the character in the scene with them, somebody stopped giving or somebody stopped receiving, or there's a threat of that happening. So it's really fascinating to understand the inner workings of what psychologically and physically is happening, and also energetically between characters, because that's how we viscerally connect to an audience. Because if it's that truthful in real life, then it's going to be compelling no matter what. We're not even trying to be compelling, it's just truth, and truth can't be dismissed. It just is.
Marissa, how do you deal with teaching people? For me, I would have a hard time if my partner was out there kissing people as an actor, or pretending to have sex and stuff like that. I guess when you get it, that that's going to happen, because if you're marrying an actor or whatever. But do you deal with that with your students? Like,
No, that's
somehow
a
you act it out, but you don't hook up like that, or
very um, when you're serving a story, um, you're stepping outside of your own body, your own thoughts, your own mind, right? You're taking on. So the way that we approach the work is we become a blank slate first, but in order to even become a blank slate, you have to do the inner work on yourself to understand, okay, what is not what is my stuff that I don't want to infiltrate my character. So if you're coming at it from a blank slate, then you can approach a character, and if that character needs to do anything, it's somebody that's different from you. So I'll tell you a story.
oh,
I did a film a couple years ago, and I had to play a new mom that suffered greatly, um, with depression and psychological issues and all sorts of things, and she was trying to keep her family together, at all costs. And she was starting to lose it. She was making up realities in her own mind, making up that, you know, people in her life were still there and they were gone. She was, you know, she lost it. She lost it. And I lived with her we shot the film over 2 months, the feature. Um, but she was with me for probably 3 more months after that shoot. And after we wrapped, I was like, oh, I'll go get a massage and I'll let her go. I'll let Claire go. And the massage did not work. I had to actually go to an energy healer she became an entity on
yeah,
me. And I needed somebody to go in there and clear her. And the reason that I kept her was because I felt so deeply for her and I wanted to protect her. So I literally kept her with me even after wrapping the film.
yeah, which would have lowered your energy.
It absolutely did. And that that moment of seeing that that energy healer, um, I couldn't even be around electronics for hours after that. I walked home from her office because I felt so completely different because I was lighter. I was things were colors were brighter because she I had to change my frequency to serve her story, and
Yeah.
it was I've never had that experience before where she stayed with me for so long.
Well, a lot of people I call it getting boogied out.
They get what was that?
They get boogied out.
Boogied out.
Yeah, I call it getting boogied out. And you created that entity, and the writers and everybody contributed. And so
Yeah.
there it was. And it was a lower dimension struggling. And
Yeah.
people don't realize that they're getting boogied out by TV, by the news, by negative news, by
Yeah.
searching for things that are negative. You're literally attracting more of that energy.
Yeah, because like attracts like.
Yeah, and as a very aware psychic, I wouldn't play that kind of part. But I guess at some level you'd be transparent enough that you could, right?
This is an interesting sort of topic that you're bringing up right now, because I've had students over the course of the studio that they felt the same. They were like, I don't want to do any negative characters. And I think at the end of the day, it's just truth. It's somebody else's truth um, that you get to serve. So it's really, if you think of it, it's an honor, because that story would not have been told
Yeah.
without me lending myself and everything that I have to that. It would have been a totally different story with a different actor.
Yeah, but you were transparent enough to not really get boogied out. Some actors
Yeah.
have done parts and it took them down.
Yes, and that's I think the beauty of working with the energy centers in the body, is because I know that. So when I was speaking before about comparing it to musical instruments, if you understand how to emote from each chakra as a single note, you can then start to play chords of emotion. And it's so specific because maybe you're playing a chord with third eye and heart. Maybe you're playing a chord with throat and sacral. And the thing is that maybe you're even doing a triple chord. But when you build a performance in this way, not only is it repeatable, but you can also get into it really quickly and then also let it go really quickly, which is important. Because I feel like those that do the method acting, um, it's dangerous.
I don't understand. What is method acting? Can you explain that to us?
It's when you kind of live the truth of the character in your own life and there's no dropping of the character.
Oh, you take it home?
You take it home.
Mm.
And um, I that's certainly not the way for me, and it's not the way that I teach, because I just there needs to be a line of demarcation between you and the characters.
Yeah, unless you want that energy. If you're playing a successful business person and you want to stay in that energy,
Yeah.
because that literally helps your home life. But if you
Right.
take home negative energy, it's detrimental to your home life.
Yeah. And actually, piggybacking off of what you're saying here, um, and the stories that we create and the stories that we tell as artists, as writers, as directors, as producers, as actors, you know, even dancers, singers, um, what we what we create really has the power to connect to an audience, right? So if we talked earlier about inspiring versus forcing. Inspiring them to think a little differently. Um, I think I just finished the series Schitt's Creek. I don't know if anybody watches that show, but I watched the sort of the documentary afterwards of their final season. It's a 45-minute special on Netflix, and they did such a phenomenal job of doing just that, inspiring inspiring others. They didn't do a story that was a harrowing story about, two gay guys that had to overcome so much to get married. They told a beautiful story of what life could be like. And it was so, so inspirational because we don't have to always talk about all the crap. you know we have an imagination, you guys. We can imagine anything. So what if we imagined the world that we want to live in? And that's what we created through our art. That's what we put on the paper. We create it because a writer, a director, producer, we're creating worlds. We're
Yeah,
creating a
literally.
world from scratch. So you make up the rules. You get to do whatever you want. So what do you want? What do you want?
And a lot of people don't realize that they're creating their world.
Yeah.
And so this
Yeah.
training that you help them with can help them understand and become more conscious of their creating their world.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a separate part of the program that's inclusive, of course. Something that I call First Fridays. And we do it first Friday of every month. And it's usually nothing to do with acting whatsoever, but it has to do with the self. So in some way, shape, or form, we're up leveling ourselves as human beings so that we can approach the work as the truthful human beings that we are.
Yeah.
So, a few months, my buddy Simon Sinek, he's an author and a speaker. We did some of his work for 2 months. We all found our whys, why we're here on this planet. I was lucky enough to do it with him, with Simon. And I remember the day he uncovered my why, and I just bawled to understand why you're here on this planet, and like the things that you respond to and the things that make you tick and the filter that you make every decision through. So clear. It makes your life clear. It makes your day-to-day clear. It makes your mission clear of understanding why you're here on this earth. What are you here to do? How are you here to do it? Right. And when that totally separate from acting, right? That has nothing to do with acting.
Well,
But
it helps them become better actors for sure.
yes, it does. It does, because the passion within isn't just, I mean, all of you could ask yourselves, why do you do what you do? And there would be a very unique answer for you specifically, different from everybody else. Your unique blueprint that kind of guides you, whether you know it or not. I didn't know it. I sort of knew it, but I didn't know it until he spoke those words to me. And I started bawling because I was like, oh my God, you're so right. You're so right. Wow. And it affected me. And it was actually, understanding what that was. I started the studio later that year because of him.
That's cool. So you're
Yeah.
teaching. Did you guys all feel that when she felt her heart, when she went like that and felt that, because she emoted love?
Yeah.
And when you emote love, you attract love. And there's a lot of people who want their work to be seen. They want better relationships. They want a lot of these things. And you attract that when you are it.
Yeah.
When you are that energy. Otherwise you're not going to attract, you're going to attract whatever belief systems or filters you have up. So that's so nice and very deep and real. And it's helpful. It's I would actually put the training next to self-help or awakening or
Yeah.
right. It's definitely helps with all of that.
Yeah.
And you're helping them be seen, right? Do you film them? Well, I guess they're on Zoom.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. We record every class, and even, when we're back in the studio, we have all of our equipment, and um, we also have a big projector, movie screen projector, so they can see themselves.
oh God. The first time I saw
Very
myself
big on
on a
the screen.
big projector, I just bawled. Like,
Yeah.
I went, oh my.
Yeah. And this, the camera doesn't lie. The camera does not lie. It picks up everything, every nuance, every detail.
Yeah.
So, you can really see, is the truth coming forward, or is it manufactured? You know?
Yeah, you can see what people can feel.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, so much of what we do is I empower my students to think like audience members, to think like the director, to think like the creative team, because that helps the actor understand what they need to do to really fulfill the story that's being told.
Yeah.
And we're all expert audience members here. I mean, especially in this past pandemic year, how much Netflix and Hulu have we watched? Probably a lot, right? And we all tune in for very different reasons. Maybe we want to escape, maybe we want to laugh, maybe we want to emote, cry, release, whatever. Um, uh, and understanding, you know, what an audience is looking for, or what an audience wants to feel through, like chemically
Uh-huh.
through the scene. you know where is there a hit of dopamine, where is there a hit of endorphins, where is there a hit of oxytocin, where you can literally track how a scene comes forward
Oh, that's interesting. I don't
through
know.
hormones. Yeah, through hormones.
I mean, I've
it's
seen a lot of people break down scripts, but I haven't seen them break down
we do chakras and
emotions,
hormones.
right? In the scripts.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, who decides if something's successful? The audience. If the audience doesn't like it, we don't get a season 2. So it has to connect. It has to connect, right? And there's actually 4 happiness chemicals. So if you can weave those through your work, whether you're the writer, the director, producer, actor, whatever, if you can understand how to weave those happiness chemicals through the story, you're engaging your audience, and they're having these feel good chemicals, feel good hormones released. So now they like it.
Well,
You
you're
could
actually higher level too, because like Buddha said, and some people debate that, but enlightenment isn't the path to happiness. Happiness is the path.
yes.
So
Yeah.
it's being able to keep your emotions high. It's like I couldn't stream on Facebook. I could have like had a fit.
Yeah. Yeah, you could have had a fit.
Oh well, God bless.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes,
I
exactly.
could have been all upset and everything.
Oh,
Oh
absolutely.
well.
And I've led webinars where my computer just turned off mid-webinar. I have 300 people on the call, and my computer turns off. And
Oh
I'd go
well.
back in, reboot, plug my computer in, whatever, and we pick up where we left off.
Yeah, because you're transparent. Like I said, you could play that part because even though that energy followed you a little bit, you still were aware of it enough to let it go.
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah.
would take that energy home and they would think it was them,
Yeah.
and they would never have even the concept or the thought that I need to get a clearing.
Right.
To let that energy go.
And even I like how you said clearing, because this happens with comedians too. If you call it out, it's fine. we dismiss it, right? If you flub a line and you call it out, we laugh and we move on. But if you don't talk about it and you don't, and it's,
Oh,
then
really?
everybody's like, wait a second, huh? What's going on over there? You know, because that's the truth. People will always be attracted to the truth.
Yeah. And they know. They,
And you called it out. You said, oh, Facebook's not working. Let's move forward.
yeah,
No big.
whatever. I don't know why, but God bless.
Yeah,
God bless is just like, oh, well, God will fix it. I'll deal with it later. So,
absolutely.
Marisa, let's offer your program. I'm going to put the link in the chat.
Yeah.
And if somebody could copy that to Facebook, that would be nice.
So you guys, this breakdown, this PDF, it kind of, so we talked a little bit about the 7 energy centers today. It'll give you a little sort of snapshot of each of the energy centers in your body, and everybody can use this. Understanding how you emote your own emotions, how you communicate to anybody in your family, your friends, in your work life, uh, that's helpful for you just as a human being. And then on another level, which is the level that we use on both levels, is how this translates to the work. How does this translate to your ability to tell stories, to embody characters, embody emotions, and build a performance that's compelling, that has that staying power, that makes an audience lean in. So anyway, that's that. The chakra breakdown there. It'll give you a snapshot of all of that stuff, and tell you a little bit more about what we're offering. So
Yeah, very interesting and helpful, I'm sure. It's it's for everywhere in your life, not just
yes,
acting.
yeah,
Because
and
if
I've
you
had,
can run the energy of wealth,
yeah,
you attract it.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
It's just like my clothes. Like I could have put my nightie on. Come sit out here in my nightie. It's it's a different energy,
yeah,
right? So I'm presenting a different energy not only to the world, but I'm running that energy in myself.
yeah,
So that it changes your reality when you understand
yeah.
energy.
It helps so much. It brings you to a totally new level of understanding of our existence, of how we communicate to each other on a deeper level, subconsciously. And you know, knowledge is power, right? It opens up your awareness, and it infiltrates everything that you do.
Well, it
So
brings the subconscious conscious.
yes,
So
yes,
as
and
you wake
that's
up,
the
you're
literal work that we do, is
yeah.
bring the subconscious to the conscious.
A lot of people, their consciousness is only this deep,
Yeah,
and then as you wake up, your consciousness gets deeper, and you turn on all your abilities, your
yeah,
that you turned off a lot of times when you got hit with stuff when you were little, right? And so this it's amazing you could actually offer a class to any profession, right?
yeah.
That
Actually,
you're
I've
interested
had
in.
you're yeah, you're right on, Lisa. I've had a bunch of people approach me about this, and actually I have a book coming out called Acting with Energy, that's, you know, geared for performances, repeatable performances. But my second book is going to be the broader uh, chakra idea of how you can harness the power of your energy, in any facet of your life, um, through close relationships, romantic relationships, business relationships, as well as, you know, career, passion, projects, all of it, storytelling. We're all in the industry in some way, shape, or form. So, you know, the way that we even just craft our lives around our passion can
Yeah.
all be traced back to our energy.
Well, thank you, Marisa, and thank you for joining us from Hawaii.
Oh, thank you
It's
for having
and
me.
and you got to catch a plane home. So I so appreciate this.
Thank you guys.